What are GMOs? Genetically modified organism. GMOs are living organisms whose genetic material has been artificially manipulated in a laboratory through genetic engineering. This creates combinations of plant, animal, bacteria, and virus genes that do not occur naturally in nature or through traditional crossbreeding methods. Most GMOs have been engineered to withstand the direct application of herbicide and or to produce an insecticide. However, new technologies are now being used to artificially develop other traits in plants, such as resistance to browning in apples, and to create new organisms using synthetic biology. Examples of GMO foods include corn. One of the most prominent GMO foods avoiding corn is a no-brainer. If you've watched any food documentary, you know corn is highly modified. As many as half of all U.S. farms growing corn for Monsanto are using genetically modified corn. Much of it is intended for human consumption. Monsanto's GMO corn has been tied to numerous health issues, including weight gain and organ disruption. Here you can even see that a squirrel won't even touch the GMO foods. It's stuck with the organic, and so should you. In this next clip, I want to read to you a little bit about Monsanto. They have released its first direct-to-consumer product, a genetically modified sweet corn containing Bt toxin, designed to protect the plant by rupturing the stomach of any insect that feeds on it. Monsanto claims the toxin will break down before the corn makes it to your dinner table, but rats fed the genetically modified corn showed organ failure, and the toxin has been detected in the bodies of pregnant women. Let's look at the hidden ingredients in beer. Bet you didn't expect these in there. The next food that I want to talk about is soy. Found in tofu, vegetarian products, soybean oil, soy flour, and numerous other products, soy is also modified to resist herbicides. As of now, biotech giant Monsanto still has a tight grasp on the soybean market, with approximately 90% of soy being genetically engineered to resist Monsanto's herbicide, Roundup. In one single year, 2006, there was 96.7 million pounds of glyphosate sprayed on soybeans alone. Genetically engineered soybeans have DNA from bacteria and viruses spliced into their DNA to help them tolerate weed killers, such as Roundup. This genetic feat creates a whole new species of plant that would have never occurred in nature. And to the parents watching this, just so you know, WIC provides free formula to over 2 million newborns annually. But get this, you can only purchase the genetically engineered varieties. If you're interested in finding out which soy products to avoid, please pause the video and take a look at this. The next genetically modified food I want to talk about is sugar. According to Natural News, genetically modified sugar beets were introduced to the U.S. market in 2009. Like others, they've been modified by Monsanto to resist herbicides. Monsanto has even had USDA and court-related issues with the planting of its sugar beets, being ordered to remove seeds from the soil due to illegal approval. Just so you guys are aware, Pepsi admits to using GMO sugar beets in all its natural beverages. Stay away from Pepsi. And the next time you're craving sugar or something sweet, or perhaps Halloween, make sure you stay away from these foods as well, because guess what? They contain genetically modified organisms as well. Next up, aspartame. It's a toxic additive used in numerous food products and should be avoided for numerous reasons, including the fact that it is created with genetically modified bacteria. Parents, the importance of reading your labels, it is like the biggest thing nowadays. Just take a look. These are the little Flintstones vitamins. There are GMOs in them, aspartame, trans fats, and hazardous chemicals. It even says keep this product out of reach of children if an overdose happens. Aspartame is also in a lot of the diet drinks, so take a look at this. These products need to be avoided as well. Aspartame, roaches and ants won't eat it, cats and dogs won't eat it, even houseflies won't eat it. But the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, serves aspartame to you. Side effects include headaches, muscle spasms, irritability, heart palpitations, loss of taste, joint pain, dizziness, weight gain, tachycardia, breathing difficulties, tinnitus, blurred vision, seizures, vertigo, nausea, blindness, slurred speech, fatigue, numbness, rashes, insomnia, hearing loss, depression, memory loss. So again, I want to show you these Flintstone vitamins. Looks can be deceiving, guys. It's made with toxic aspartame, like I said before, artificial coloring, and GMO corn. Brought to you by Bayer. Aren't they the ones that spread AIDS through the aspirin too at one point? This next genetically modified organism may come to a surprise to all of you who enjoy tropical fruits. They have been grown in Hawaii for consumption since 1999. Though they can't be sold to countries in the European Union, they are welcome with open arms in the good old US of A and Canada. Virus-resistant papayas. In the late 1980s, the University of Hawaii began developing a papaya cultivar resistant to papaya ring spot virus. Certain viral genes encoding capsid proteins were transferred to the papaya genome. The new genetically modified papaya plants are no longer susceptible to infection. This allows farmers to cultivate the fruit even when the virus is widespread. 3/4 of the papaya crop grown in Hawaii are genetically modified and available for consumption in the US and Canada. GMO Compass. Now let's talk about canola. One of the most chemically altered foods in the US diet, canola oil is obtained from rapeseed through a series of chemical actions. Canola oil is not healthy. Cotton. Found in cotton oil, cotton originating in India and China in particular has serious risks. Oh, look at how nice. A beautiful field of cotton mixed in with GMO. Here we have a fact of the day. 90% of the cotton grown in the USA is GMO. Livestock that grazed on GMO cotton for 3 to 4 days became sick and died. You likely eat Roundup Ready BT toxin cotton every time you eat a processed food that contains cottonseed oil. Dairy. I know. Incredible, right? Dairy is also genetically modified. Look at these cows. I mean, these are all disgustingly big. They have tumors and all kinds of problems because they're eating all of this food that's been genetically modified. They're eating GMO corn, soy, cottonseed, and alfalfa. So if you drink milk, guess what? You're getting that too. Oh, and look at this. Roundup was discovered in the US mother's breast milk. Isn't that so sad, you guys?
If you're against GMOs, and a lot of people are, you're probably against Monsanto. But back to Roundup. In 2018, there was increased concern over it. As it turns out, there's an ingredient in it that likely causes cancer. And of course, people dislike that. They specifically dislike how they failed to properly label it, how they tried to minimize it. There's been all these successful lawsuits from people who are diagnosed with cancer after using it a lot. There's been plenty of Roundup-related outrage. RBGH. That stands for recombinant bovine growth hormone. It's a hormone you give to cows and they produce more milk. A lot of controversy surrounding this one too. It was approved in 1993 by the FDA, but not allowed in Canada or Europe. In 1994, Monsanto quickly became a major producer of it. I don't want to spend too much time here, but the backlash against it is that cows that are treated with it have increased rates of udder infections and other health issues. Plus, the milk that comes from these cows has elevated levels of this other hormone that looks like it could lead to various types of cancer. This is one of those things where you kind of have to learn about it yourself and form your own opinions, but many people disapprove of it, and since Monsanto was one of the first and biggest companies to provide RBGH, you can see how this would cause some hatred.
Next up, we have zucchini and yellow squash. Closely related, these two squash varieties are modified to resist viruses. The dangers of some of these foods are well known. The Bt toxin being used in GMO corn, for example, was recently detected in the blood of pregnant women and their babies. But perhaps more frightening are the risks that are still unknown. Even while these foods should be on your GMO foods list so that they are avoided, you can buy 100% organic to be safest. With little regulation and safety tests performed by the companies doing the genetic modifications themselves, we have no way of knowing for certain what risks these lab-created foods pose to us outside of what we already know. The best advice: steer clear of them altogether. Trust food sources with labels like these.
Just to summarize, they were involved in making the atomic bomb. They supplied the government with tons of Agent Orange that ended up harming millions of innocent people. They became a major supplier of the controversial chemical aspartame. They sold PCBs for years that they probably knew were harmful and were seemingly irresponsible in disposing waste containing it. They sold Roundup weed killer without sufficiently warning us that it can be harmful, not to mention the Roundup ready crops and all of the highly debated GMOs, which leads me to RBGH for cows, which again may be harmful for cows and humans. I think we can see the pattern here.
I almost forgot to include this in the video. This used to be one of my favorite cereals, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Once I started reading the labels, I realized, great, all this time I've been eating partially produced with genetic engineering. And also, if you looked on top where it says caramel color, it says BHT added to preserve freshness. These are not good to digest, okay? So, and not only that, look at the amount of sugars. Not the best breakfast choice. You guys, read your labels. Thank you so much for watching.